but obviously nobody likes to be down 0-3, as we have a Phoenix opening, and that Phoenix is gonna hunt down this speedy Overlord.
He is supply blocked here at 70. Oh, he's gonna get unblocked though as that Nexus finishes up. No problem.
This Warp Runner not done yet.
Okay.
Green's way out of position. Sexy movement here by Showtime. It's 5 drones. It's actually all very good, as long as we don't lose the Oracle, and he doesn't.
Yeah, very nicely done right there. First, I was just going to... nice, he gets a couple drones, denies the 4th base, but that's actually kind of big.
Serral goes for the Spire himself. +1 melee and a Spire. But if you know you're going up against 16 Mutalisks, what you ideally want to do is just get a couple of Stalkers and obviously maybe increase the Phoenix count a little bit. We only have a single Phoenix.
Oh, he's going to see the gases.
Showtime is about to find out, but it's late, man. It's really, really late, Steadfast.
It is so late, and we got Lings coming in from multiple angles as well. Very nicely done here from Serral. He is setting up for a scary attack. Storm is going to complete for this, but we're going to see the bust down at the natural just before the shield battery completes. The Lings will flood on in. The Mutas are going to turn around and fight the Stalkers with the Ling support. This is so devastating for Showtime already.
Yes. I mean, as long as he doesn't completely fall apart, that one cannon is gonna get cancelled. Okay, Damuda is making it into the pocket expand. Like, losing 10 probes or so was totally acceptable, but now we've already lost 24. And now the High Templars are a little bit exposed as well. It is raining storms, though. That's a decent amount of Mutalisks going down. That one Phoenix is the Phoenix with the golden gun. 1 shot, 1 kill. 24 probes going down, but Showtime always so quick in rebuilding them. It's not over yet, Steadfast. Like, he's only 12 workers behind, and that Phoenix count is increasing. And it's not like Serral's got an army that's going to scale incredibly well into the late game.
No, he certainly does not, but he has got the coolest game plan. We are going to see a little bit of a Dr. Dario special coming in right here. We're going to have a 40 Ling drop coming in, and this is going to be supported by the Mutas. You're used to those minerals being up, keeping you safe in the pocket base, but when these Lings drop in, that is going to be so scary to deal with. It's already a Showtime who is taking it on the chin, who has been struggling to defend, and Serral is now winding up for a massive haymaker. The Archons are in position, which is very handy, but he's going to need to be so quick on pulling those back. The shield battery could be huge on that base.
Yeah, that battery has a crazy amount of potential. There is a cannon as well. The Mutas are going to keep the Phoenixes in the main army busy. Here comes that Link drop, but I think with a cannon, battery, and 2 Archons, I kind of think it's okay. Serral obviously knows that the battery there is very problematic, but doesn't seem like there is a crazy amount of Lings remaining. The Archons and Zealots have +2. Mutas are not finding all that much success. Showtime needs to make damn sure he doesn't lose all the Phoenixes immediately. But this seems to be another pretty successful hold. Serral wouldn't be Serral if he's not already transitioning, where he's like, all right, I cannot win the game anymore with just Lings, Mutas, and yeah, that's basically all that he was working with. So let's go up to Hive. He's now firing up 17 Roaches, but he of course doesn't have any Roach upgrades. I mean, if Showtime was going to win any game, this kind of has to be the game, right, Steadfast?
Yeah, it certainly does. I will say that this is the kind of game where maybe you can start building some confidence, but you definitely still want to win right here. And he is going to be trying to get in here. I don't know if he's scouted the Greater Spire, but he is going to be hitting before those Broodlords start up. Big storms to start things off. The creep spread, though, is very daunting. You really don't want to push into this much creep, even into Hydraling Bane. Ravagerling Bane. It's very uncomfortable. Nice, quick response, but the probes are still going to get bottled up, and 10 probes will go down. Nice little counterattack.
Yep. Pretty insane that even there we get 10 workers.
Yeah.
Well, the Showtime was indeed reacting very quickly to it. Had a cannon, had a battery, pulled the probes, still lost 10. But it's all good. That is not going to cripple Showtime. He's still working with 72 workers. He is starting to be on cleaning duty here and just clean up all that creep in the center of Stargazers. And now he's probably thinking like, I've got a pretty sexy Protoss army. He's very close to a couple of big upgrades finishing up, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at +2 shields, fantastic for the Archons, and +3 attack. That is going to be phenomenal for the Stalkers. We see a couple of Broodlords, and now it's obviously going to be hard for Showtime to make the correct decisions. Like, do I keep going, yes or no? How many do you have? But I think Showtime also knows that Serral really has spent a lot of money on all these Mutas, so he is going to try, and I really don't hate the idea of staying here. Like, going all the way back right now and dragging this game out forever, going into your own fleet beacon, extra Stargates. I'd say let's try. Try to win, and if it doesn't work, then we can always play that game.
Yeah, I actually think this is a pretty strong timing for Showtime. Even though the Broodlords are out, there actually wasn't a lot on the ground right there. With the amount of storm that Showtime had, I really think he could get something done, and at the very least, rotate around, maybe try and deny that pocket base. Oh, no unit in the wall. And these are about to be +3 cracklings.
He's maxed out. That's very annoying.
Yeah. Oh, the Banes!
Oh, the
No!
Templars in the center of the map will all go down to just a couple of banelings from Serral. And where Showtime had all the potential in the world to maybe just straight up win the game, suddenly things are starting to look a little bit more awkward. He has managed to sneak a couple of his own Stalkers into the pocket expand of Serral. And he has dropped that fleet beacon and those 2 extra Stargates. But it felt like it should have been game over. Like how Serral has somehow successfully transitioned into Hive and is now doing whatever he can to save that hatchery. The Stalkers with the final few shots do get that hatch. Most of the Phoenix is going to get picked off too there. This game has just gone bananas, and I don't know how Serral even makes a game out of this, because what he played, he was committed. You're supposed to be all in. You're supposed to be stuck there as a Zerg. And Serral apparently says, I'm never stuck, even with 0 roach upgrades and 0 roaches. I'll go Hive and roaches at the same time, make 17 of them, and that will allow me to transition into Broodlords.
Just throw away a bunch of supply and start building carriers. He needs to still collect more money, get up to that, and there it is. He is going to blink forward, but the fungal growth is going to come on in. The transfuse is going to keep those queens alive, and this is looking, well, this is going to be a successful way to throw away supply, but not in the way you want to. Excellent defensive fight here from Serral. Showtime looking for it, doesn't find the opening.
Did he see the infestors before? I feel like that's kind of the first time he saw them, right? We have the lurker upgrades on the way now as well. The zealot count here doesn't really do a whole lot. It can maybe soak up a couple of shots. Showtime is just going to send it again. He feels that Serral does not have enough to protect these Broodlords, and the lurkers were indeed not there. The lurkers don't have their feisty upgrades yet, but in the end they will burrow and get a couple of shots up. We are still landing fungals on the Stalkers too, and it's just a messy, bloody battle here where both players have definitely lost a lot of units. Serral keeps a couple of his key units alive, and Showtime is obviously doing great economically, especially after stabilizing on the bottom left side. It needs to be a little bit careful because that army of Serral is growing bigger, better, stronger, and obviously it's very, very well teched. And Showtime's army is still very well upgraded, but very basic.
Yes, it is certainly quite basic. He is getting into the +2 ship weapons. We are going to see him blink forward once again onto the lurkers. The trap from Serral is sprung, but is it a trap? I mean, there's the observer saw it and he just went right into it. He actually did better there than I expected.
Serral just misses like 20 units on the ground, right? Like 20, 40 links there, or let's say 4 or 5 roaches to protect those lurkers from the zealots. I think then that would have been an amazing fight for Serral.
Well, something that's very interesting is that he actually has a huge bank. Well, he had a huge bank. It's still a pretty decent-sized bank. Yeah. It's plenty to max out once again. He had the larva. He did have the larva. I was keeping track of it that whole time.
He's just wondering right now what he should be building.
Exactly, yeah.
He's not blindly building units. He wants to keep a close eye on the army of Showtime. If Showtime shows up with more Archons, and that is absolutely what's happening, Serral says, then I want more Broodlords. If you go for something else, then maybe I'll go for something else as well. It's actually pretty cool. Maybe also worried about that Skytoss transition. You know, Serral wasn't born last night. He saw those fleet beacons. He's probably kind of concerned about a bunch of carriers somewhere or the first few Tempests showing up. But yeah, as long as that's not the case, he can definitely make more Broodlords. It's pretty cool to see him not just spend his money blindly. Wants to make damn sure he's making the correct choice.
Yeah, it's actually incredibly intelligent play. Unfortunately, it means he can't punish that army at the time. But as you said, now he's got a bunch of Broodlords out against these Archons. He does lose the base, but he is going to drive this army back, and he's winning the cost efficiency war. Certainly, we saw it a little bit earlier right there. He's up 4,000. Now it has stretched, I believe, to 5,000 even. He is doing, well, he's doing what he needs to do. However, he doesn't want to let Showtime get away with this gold base. So I think at the very least, you need to keep tabs on that. Oh, nice job. Gonna kill the observer here. 2 fungals will take it out, so of course he waits for the full duration. It pops at the end. We also saw the War Prism did get deflected there. I'd like to see, oh, there it is, the single Corruptor. Wow, really nice observer placement here out of Showtime, but Serral, equally good observer kills right there.
That's 4 fungals though. Like obviously, if there's a big fight happens in the near future,
you got to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah, that actually could become somewhat of a perhaps reckless way to spend all your energy, but
yeah,
seems like we're gonna get away with it. Showtime is for now just kind of going for some multitasking. We have a couple of zealots in the main base, slicing up the Roach Warren. We had zealots in the bottom right side, and we still have Stalkers. Well, we obviously need an observer here too, because all the drones are temporarily burrowed. Seems like these stalkers will fall. Eventually, Showtime is going to have to get rid of a couple of probes, because he still has 98, and that sounds fantastic, but he doesn't have enough room to put those 98 probes. And you don't want to obviously take a game-deciding fight with 102 army supply, because Serral's army supply is already the 130. That's big. High Templars could get fumbled here. Oh, that's 3 High Templars with a lot of energy going down, and even High Templar number 4 is in a bit of trouble. That one will barely live. Showtime's doing a good job, but he's throwing away a lot of units.
Yeah, and he simply isn't getting the damage done that he's looking for. It's not that he can't afford it for now, but this is Stargazers. This is actually the worst map for him to be doing this on, unfortunately. And I think Serral he knows that, and he knows, like, even if you take that gold base, if you keep battering your way in with basic gateway units, I will eventually bleed you out. And finally, we are seeing those carriers being added on Showtime. I think maybe he was waiting until Serral got a little bit lazy with his scouting. Or not even lazy, but less on point with it. And he's keeping him back this whole time. And Serral hasn't seen it just yet. We'll see if he is able to respond. But if he pops out with 8, 9, 10 carriers all of a sudden, he can still turn this around.
Yeah, I mean, the carriers have +2 ship weapon or arrow upgrades already, and he's actually going for a +3. Even though the Stargate on their way. Showtime has done a phenomenal job in hitting multiple bases at once. We're going to utilize recall one more time. We leave an Archon and Knight Templar behind. At the same time, though, we're going to recall into all these lurkers. Serral does put some pressure on the gold base here. And this, of course, is one of the most important bases, because this is the one base that kind of belongs to no one, right? All the bases on the left belong to Showtime. All the bases on the right belong to Serral. But this map has one key base. And obviously, Showtime has already done a bit of mining of the gold. That's big. But he would ideally get his hands on all those resources. But the longer we wait, the more ready Serral will be. I saw 1 Viper being fired up, and with 2 or 3 Vipers, it just becomes so much more difficult for Showtime to get a great fight.
It does, but he's going to deny another base from Serral. And I think he's recognized that Serral doesn't have the money. He is going to pop out with these interceptors. The infestors are not quite in position. They're not going to be able to get those fungal growths. We'll see the microbial shroud coming down to keep the queens alive, and that will shove Showtime back. But he's already killed the base, and that's actually enough. Nice pick off on the Oracle right there, but a good feedback coming in on the Viper. We are going to see another infestor getting feedback, but the fungal growth will take care of a lot of the ground army, and that's going to drive Showtime back the rest of the way. I still think that actually went well for Showtime because he keeps that base count of Serral low. And Serral, he actually can't afford yet to build enough Corruptors to fight this army straight up. He needs those neural parasites.
Yeah, or just a couple of abducts, right? We need a few Vipers. I don't think the Viper died. We have a War Prism. Actually, the Viper did die, got feedback, and then got picked off later on. War Prism wipes in a bunch of Zealots. Showtime may just go for like a semi-base right here almost. Serral's army is still bigger than Showtime's army. We're looking at 136 army supply for Serral, but Showtime says your army is slow. My army is still quite mobile. Some of it flies, and some of it can just be wiped in everywhere. I still have plenty of Zealots to work with too. It's going to be almost impossible to pick off each and every single building though, like Serral's got.
But he also can't push into Showtime defensively. This is looking so good for Demour right now, I gotta say. Who do you favor in this situation, though?
I think it's very close. I think it comes down to execution. Showtime definitely has the tools to get a great fight, but if Serral gets 1 or 2 Vipers, or just has a couple of great fungals, a couple of neuroparasites, I mean, Serral's army is bigger, but Showtime is obviously the one that's richer and technically has the better army at this point, but it really just comes down to execution. If we don't make any silly mistakes with the Tempest, I agree with you that Showtime should be able to walk away with this game and at least make sure that this series goes on a little bit longer, as we do have a fungal going down though and a couple of neuroparasites as well. Is this the one chance for Serral to still make something out of this game?
No, I don't think it is. We're going to be seeing these neural parasites. They will get a couple of these carriers, but can he follow through on this? Another neural parasite. Man, that is a very long reach neural. Still, there are a few High Templar. That did go very well for Serral.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
But Showtime, I think, still has the tools. And I think he actually, yeah, with that Oh, he doesn't catch the Infestors. I think that's what he was looking for with that Revelation. But the Tempests are going to be able to pick away at these Queens, and that's what they're looking for. He knows the Infestors are nearly out of energy. He doesn't know that there's only 4 Infestors left over. I think if he knew this, he would just shove through and run Serral over. Serral, once again, being forced to burrow those drones. So good. He's gotten so much value out of the burrow. Damn, those are some big banelings on defense. So much value out of the burrow. I love that we're seeing this from Serral, but Showtime is slowly grinding him down over time. The Broodlord count, it's getting picked away at. Another one goes down, and I feel like Serral is just running out of units.
Yep, Serral's definitely running out of units. He's been running out of resources for quite some time. He knew that Showtime had the gold for a bit, but I think Serral's plan was eventually I'll get my hands on the gold, and then we have the same amount of resources, and I've been trading better, so I should be okay. But Showtime is not allowing that to happen. I love the fact that we're still active with a Prism, warping in a couple of Zealots just to keep Serral busy, annoy Serral. That fight actually took place without any Vipers, right? Like, Serral thought he saw an opportunity there, and he landed a couple of fungals. He landed a few neuroparasites, but it wasn't quite enough to get that big victory that he was looking for. And now he can deny the base, and now Showtime is going to have a lot more income again. And it seems kind of hopeless, but I think we have learned our lesson in the past. And we should never really count out Serral, so we won't. But even Serral needs resources, though, right? To be great? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you need money, and it's funny because like the army supply has been favoring Serral for so much, but look at exactly there we see the income advantage over time has been so significant, and now we're even seeing what I think is going to probably be the kill move right here, and that is the addition of Void Rays, the addition of Flux Veins. That mothership is going to be completing very shortly, which is just going to complicate the fight more and more for Showtime. And even I actually really love this decision, throwing away the probes to make sure that he can really get a few more voids. And I think we are looking down the barrel of a potential just maybe a very one-sided fight as this shakes down. Like you said, we can never, ever count out Serral because he is the magician. He makes things that look impossible possible. But Showtime, he knows what he has right now. He knows he is the one in the lead. As I say that, though, nice little move from Serral. He's like, oh, you throw away some probes? Here, let me help you throw away some more.
Yep, and now we're going to send the Skytos units over. High Templars, a little too far forward, -2. That's actually kind of a big deal. That's 300 gas down the drain, and that's still not something that even Showtime is going to have a limited amounts of. You see, the Showtime was probably quite worried about there being another trap somewhere there, right? He's like, yeah, there's no way, it's just the lurkers. You're worried about Vipers showing up and abducting a couple of your units, or Infestors landing a fungal from the high ground. But Showtime did not have to worry about any of that, but now we do have to worry about our little setup in the center. A couple of High Templars, one of them gets picked off, the other two are going to go down as well to a storm to the roaches, all 3 of them, and the pylon, and the static defenses. And even when Serral has very little stuff to work with, he's still finding great moves.
He's a damn wizard. That shouldn't have been possible. He picks off 5 High Templar with units that had no business being able to do that. So well done. And Serral says, nuh-uh, Steadfast, we're not done yet. I still have some fight left in me. Oh, and he's going to go for another High Templar right here. Is he targeting it? Battery. He sure is. The shield battery not in time.
Why would the battery heal the Zealot over the High Templar? What is wrong with that battery, Steadfast?
Oh, it is a discriminatory battery. It loves mineral units over gas units and just detestable, really. We are going to see Showtime, though. He says, enough is enough. I'm going to make you come to me. I know that your army can't reposition easily. I'm going to pick off this base. I'm going to make you uncomfortable.
Oh, recall has been used.
Ooh.
So we are going to recall on top of all these lurkers. The lurkers are going to try to run away. It seems like 2 of them will fall. The lurker number 3 takes a lot of damage. I'm actually worried for Showtime, man. I know a while ago I liked it for Showtime because it really did feel that Serral was broke as a joke and he didn't have any Vipers. Now actually we have 3 Vipers and his army just got better and better over time. 21 Corruptors. They are pretty strong Corruptors too. They still have the 2-2 upgrades. Serral just doesn't really have the money to get 3-3, but even 2-2 Corruptors are quite decent. And with 3 Vipers and those Infestors, the dream is very well alive for Serral.
Absolutely.
Well, man, the fighting spirit of this man too, right? He's up 3-0. He went for Mudalist. Like any Zerg will tell you, it's like if you make that many Mudas of that economy, you need to do X, Y, and Z. If you don't do that, the game is over. So I was like, no. I can make a bunch of Mudas, and I can also go Hive and make Roaches and Ravages. Then go up to Broodlords, eventually make my way to Lurkers, and yeah, we'll just play a 35-minute game. Like, it's supposed to be impossible. This game should have ended like 20 minutes ago. But Yona is showing us that if you believe, that you don't have to quit early. And well, it's actually starting to look better than it's done in a very long time.
I think I favor Serral's position at this point even. Oh, and a nice abduct coming in, grabbing that Oracle. I don't even think it got a revelation there, which is pretty huge. And now the gold base goes down. Showtime's got no... He's got no gas. He's got 6 probes. This is it. And he now suddenly feels like he's the one who has to get something done. I want to point out how important those High Templar pickoffs are. Normally in this army setup, the Broodlords are what deals with the High Templar. And the Lurkers are... They can be okay with it, okay at it, but it's hard to be the ones to deal with it, to pick them off. So the fact that he's been able to, with only 4 Broodlords and the Lurkers, just with kind of magic, out multitasking, out positioning his opponent, find those big pickoffs on so many of the High Templar, and really mean that Showtime only has the High Templar left that he has on the field, is actually a huge pickoff. It's such a brilliant set-piece maneuver from Serral. And like I said, now I think I favor his position, and I haven't favored it in about, basically since those lings were about to drop into the back base.
Yeah, the 40 lings! All right.
Yeah.
Obviously, Serral dodged a couple of bullets. I think especially that first time Showtime was really on the other side of the map with the +3 Archons, +3 Stalkers, a couple of Storms. All there was were a couple of Broodlords, man. And I really think if he would have gone pedal to the metal, he could have ended it. But that's a long time ago. We'll see how this big fight is going to play out. Obviously, with a couple of great feedbacks, there is hope for Showtime too. But the Vipers and Infestors are the true terrifying units here. We do land a Fungal. We land a couple of feedbacks on the Vipers. That's really big. The Fungals may be big, but now there is no Parasitic Bomb available. And without the Vipers, maybe there is hope here for Demour.
There certainly is. We've got the best Time Warp ever cast in a game of Legacy of the Void. It will expire. It's pretty inconsequential, but man, we never see it doing anything. It actually blottled up those Queens quite nicely. Showtime was able to pick off a base that surprisingly does still have resources at it, and I think even has gas at it, which is pretty big.
I think both gases have a lot of gas, mate. There is 1,500 gas on the left one, and the right one has 1,900 gas. So there is still 3.4k gas to fight over.
Unfortunately for Showtime, he doesn't have any minerals. He's got 2 probes and no minerals. And Serral, he's on 19 drones. He's done such a good job of retaining his drones from this point. Ooh, he's going to catch the Queens. Nice job from Showtime. Ooh, but the fungal growth, you got to get out of here, Showtime. I think, does he need to recall? No, there's no Vipers. And the Void Rays are actually going to push the Corruptors back. This still looks like a very good fight for Showtime.
Yep, there aren't too many Corruptors. Another Storm lands in the middle of the Queens. I don't see any Shrouds anymore either. The Interceptor count is obviously starting to dwindle. But there are still a couple of Void Rays. That Mothership is tanky. The Lynx come in to surround the High Templars though. One Storm is nice. Does Serral have enough anti-air? It's starting to, well...
Oh, it's so close.
Yeah, he's got like no Corruptors. He's got 4 Corruptors, and this is where the Tempest can really shine. And that's why the feedbacks were so damn big on the Vipers in the previous fight. All the Vipers died. Do we have any detection left as we are burrowing the Infestors? I mean, Queens should not win against Captain Protoss units, right?
Well, I mean, those carriers, they're empty. They're dead weight. They literally do nothing. It's the Tempest and the Void Rays, and even the Mothership could actually end up being an MVP. We saw those Infestors pop up. He wanted to cast a Microbial Shroud. He's out of energy. The Broodlords do nothing. The Corruptors are out in small numbers. I think Showtime, after 37 minutes, is finally doing it here. Serral is on the back foot. He's being pushed back. A concave of Queens is coming in onto the Mama Ship, but she is taking so much damage. We are going to see a huge fungal growth, but does it even matter?
I think it matters, man, because the carriers suck, and all that the Queens need to do is get in range of the Tempest, and they are starting to do it. One more fungal would be insane here. The Tempests are starting to lose a lot of HP. The kiting is great. This is a ridiculous fight. And it's like, oh, Showtime, every unit is so important here for Showtime, of course. Does he still have any detection? Yes, there is still one Oracle. The Queens are going for it one more time. This is one of the silliest endings to a 38-minute game that I've seen in a while, but the Tempest Micro is good. It looked like the Queens were in high enough numbers and in range to make the difference, but perhaps they were not. We have a transfuse going down. There are 2 Infestors.
Oh, that Oracle.
There are 2 Infestors, and that is really the only way. Yeah, I think the Queen count is just not high enough anymore. Then again, there are too many Void Rays, there aren't too many. We need some Fungals or Neuroparasite, anything, really. Transfuse is good.
Transfuse is very helpful right here, but it looks like he's out of energy now. The final Corruptor is going to fall. The Tempest, they're kiting back. That one Tempest on the top side. It is coming down to single number of units at this point. We have got Serral with laser focus right there. Showtime, he is fighting his heart out. 38.5 minutes here on Stargazers, and neither player is giving an inch. The Queens at the bottom. We got Lings counterattacking on the bottom side of the map. 0 probes for Showtime. What a crazy game this is so far.
Showtime still has 9 cannons. Obviously needs to make sure that he doesn't get eliminated by these lurkers and Lings, but with 9 cannons, he should be able to buy some time for himself.
What?
What's happening with the Queens, by the way? So the Queens, there's 3 of them, and we have 2 Infestors.
Oh, he sends 1 Void Ray back home. That's a good decision right there, but it does mean 1 less Void Ray in the fight. That is, well, that's a 1/6 of your fighting units right there, actually out of the fight. He sends both Void Rays back home.
So it's 4 Tempests. That's what it is.
It is. I want to see
the Infestors, the Queens, and that 1 Corruptor can absolutely fight 4 Tempests.
Yeah, if you can Neural Parasite 2 of the Tempests and
that's an easy fight.
unburrow on top of the other 2 with those Queens. Oh, where are the Queens right now? We got to see where those Queens.
Bottom right side, we have the Infestors as well. They're gathering up energy, and 1 Corruptor. It may seem silly, but 1 Corruptor actually has some potential. This is it, Serral. This is as good of a possibility you're ever going to get. The Void Rays are not here.
He's
going to go for it. Transfuse, transfuse, transfuse on that 1 Corruptor. That 1 Corruptor goes down. We do have a Neural Terror.
2 Neurals.
Yep.
Oh, and he's going to turn them on the Tempest themselves. We are going to see the DPS. The transfuse on the Queen. It keeps the Neural Parasite alive. He is going to be able to turn it on his opponent's Tempest. Both of them going down. We've now got just 2 Tempests remaining here from Showtime. One of them solo in HP, but it will survive. The Oracle does get that revelation on the Infestor, and the Infestor, it's going to wear off. Then the Oracle goes down. There's just 2 Tempests remaining. He can burrow these units and hide them.
Yep.
And they're going to go underground.
And now he's got
Showtime
shakes
his head.
Yep.
40 minutes. He's going to... Oh, I think he can... No. He's going to wait for the transfuse.
Yeah,
he's going to play it safe.
He can wait until he maxes out, and there's still 1 Infestor. That 1 Infestor can Neural Parasite. Sending both Void Rays was a mistake. Sending 1 Void Ray would have been absolutely okay, but I think sending both Void Rays was a little bit too much. Showtime knows that Serral is just gathering up energy. Serral can obviously eliminate him too.
The transfuses on the Queen as it was Neural Parasited and killing its own Tempests was absolutely unreal. Such an impressive display right there out of Serral. I gotta say, I'm truly impressed.
We have 3 Queens. 3 Queens should be more than enough to pick off a single Tempest. There is still that Infestor as well. I mean, Serral could have waited longer, but he knows that he can always burrow again, and that is exactly what he does. He's going to play this as safe as possible.
He can just Neural.
Yeah, he could, but I think he's going to just make sure that he's got all the transfuse. After fighting for 42 minutes, you don't want to throw it in the end because you're rushing into things, right? Showtime does not have the DPS to easily kill all these buildings. He can start chipping away at the Great Aspire, the Hatch, but...
Oh, the Emperor. He's being so active with these units. The thing is, there's nothing that Showtime can do to detect. Every time that he Neural Parasites, he can just kill a Tempest or one of the carriers. The Tempest goes down, the second one is going to fall, and now there's just 2 Void Rays left over. That Tempest is dead. Showtime is running out of units. He's running out of options, and I think Serral has actually done it. GG gets called. What a display. I talked about magic. That was more than magic. That was divinity.